That should be the ads over. We can start. Yay! Once again, I heard my voice in the corner. Why do I keep forgetting to mute my modding section? Boop. The starting soon screen is gone. Oh, now what are we doing today? Oh, that's a good question. I hadn't quite thought of it. I kind of semi-thought of it and then clicked start stream half an hour, well, 20 minutes early. The plan was just to not even like design like proper, like full on, like really detailed things. Just like get into the hang of trying. Because that's one of my big problems with art. Is I think I'm bad, therefore I don't try. If I know I'm okay at it, I'll give it a go. If I know that I'm not good at it, I will avoid it like the plague. And that's not going to help me get any better. I wish it did, but it won't. And I keep on mentioning in some of these art streams that I have a book called Designing Creatures and Characters by Mark Terrell Holmes. It's a very good book if you have any kind of art skill and want some challenges. And he goes through a bunch of little things like, kind of like little portfolio pieces that you might want to do to like practice. And like, it's got some like level, like early on projects, some like very relatively basic ones like, designing creatures, designing the heads of creatures, designing fish. Then he gets into designing an entire pirate crew, which I think is a little bit beyond level 1 project, but the way it separates its projects are less to do with like level of skill and more the type of project. So I think level 1 is very much sort of designed around just getting ideas out. Level 2 gets into more of the sort of detailing of things. Yeah, drawing the same thing but different and trying to like improve the same thing. And then level 3, it's like full on art piece quality stuff. And I thought, considering we're trying to do the TTRPG thing, we need to have creatures. I am apparently, I'm the one in charge of creatures. Probably be a good idea. I actually get better at making my own ones up rather than just drawing animals from reference. Granted, it's because I think I'm okay at drawing from reference. Hence why I do it, because I don't have to feel bad about my skill level if I can kind of do it. But like I said earlier, if I'm going to get better in any way, I need to actually give these things a go. So the first project that this book gives on like how to do this is actually very much the kind of thing that I would need to do pretty constantly for the Rise of Ember stuff, for the TTRPG monsters. And that is like make up some body plans. The way they've got it set up in the book is find a creature skeleton, like a skeleton of a creature that already exists. Don't try making your own. Just pick one that already exists, and so it's kind of like It's got one that's very much like I think it's a bear, possibly a tiger. Thank you for saving when I haven't done anything yet, Clip Studio. That's wonderful. Thank you, autosave. But it's kind of like a sort of that sort of skeletal structure that it uses for its one. And then it has like a couple of examples, one of which is like some big hulking thing with like spikes, but it follows like the scheme. And a couple of others like the smaller ones, like sort of large cats, things like that would fit the scheme. Hello, Ezzy, welcome in, and 13-month subscription. It sometimes staggers me that I've been doing this for more than a year. And Triggerfire should be connected. It says it's connected. Because I know what you want to do. I know what you want to click. Are you gonna do it, Triggerfire? Are you gonna work? Krug is there. It is ready to play. Triggerfire is absolutely crap sometimes. I will have to do it manually. All Triggerfire is meant to do when that happens is it turns off the source and then turns it back on again, which makes it play. It's not even a difficult thing for Triggerfire to do. But Triggerfire has issues. I'm glad I only have one thing set up in it, because if I put in a bunch of time adding in redeems on Triggerfire and then they just never worked, I would be so annoyed. Everyone can use it. The command is called Yep, that's right. Let's just double check, make sure it's actually doing what it's needing to do. Manage action. It uses the source. Yes. It sets hidden for 5 seconds and then it turns it on. Let's change that to hide it for 1 second. Okay. Your Triggerfire just doesn't want to do its thing. It says it's connected, and it should be connected. But yeah, for some unknown reason, it just sucks. I might end up having to take it away and do it as a manual redeem or something. Oh well, anyway. I will stretch, my posture is fine, and I will drink. One of these days, Pepsi will see me. They will hear me opening a nice drink of Pepsi, and they will sponsor me. It's either that or Branston Beans find me. I mean, if Branston Beans gave me a sponsorship deal, I think I'd probably take it just for the meme. Yes, Ezzy Beans. Right, let's have a quick look for Sidon. Well, that's a monkey. I can tell that by the. It's funny when you actually just look at a skeleton and you've looked at animals enough that you're like, oh, I recognise that. It's like it's got no skin on it. It's got no muscle on it. I can still see that's a gorilla because he's got a massive skull and no brain in it. And that's just a giant anteater. Jeez, those skulls are like. It's almost like they said, I don't want a skull, just extend my spine and put some eyes on it. That might be a decent one. That could also be a decent one. Big problem about using anything like Google or. Oh, hey, this one's okay. This is a vintage cat skeleton from 1898. I don't think there's anyone that's going to complain if we use this one. Although, quite frankly, it could have been drawn last week, and Pinterest is just a lying piece of Pinterest. So you want to start with something that has a generic enough skeleton that we can get a good deal of different looking things out of it. You can go with a bird, sure, but there's only so many things you can get out of a bird, other than making the feathers look different. And the same with like, I'm looking at this one. This is a turtle. That's obviously a turtle because there's just a massive shell on the back of it, which is technically made of scutes, I think they're called. The same stuff that alligators have. Which is fun because they're not technically called scales. You learn things on this channel. You don't learn useful things, but you still learn things. Oh, let's just go with that basic one that was at the top. Where were you? You should be out. You should do, I think. You should do. Bye bye, Ezzy. I always like confusing Gessie with the mention of beans. Ah, that's a big picture. And shrink that down. Right, so just for the sake of this, since we are learning, it is okay to use reference. I mean, to be fair, it's okay to use reference even if you're not learning. It's okay. It's not okay to trace and pretend it's yours when you're learning or doing anything, but you are allowed to trace when you're learning. Don't let people lie to you and say that's not okay. As long as you don't come out and say I drew this. Like if I drew over this entire thing perfectly, which I'm not going to do, and then said, look at this amazing skeleton I drew, that would be a lie. But if you're trying to learn how to draw it, it is actually a good bit of practice to sort of like try and sketch over bits. I think I've seen one video that does it in 3 steps. The first one is you actually just trace over the actual item. The second step would be drawing it separately whilst looking at the reference and then matching them together and seeing where you went wrong. And then the third one is trying to draw it without the reference and then unhide the reference and see where you went wrong. Because that's the one thing you kind of need to do as someone who's learning. It's also one thing that's really hard to do when you're learning on your own, is looking at it and working out where you screwed up. I mean, it's all well and good looking at your stuff and going, oh my god, I'm amazing, when you suck. But you're never going to learn if you do that. You're going to end up being one of those people that says, it's just my style. When it's not a style, it's just you suck at drawing still. My god, look at those beefy fingers. You can't really tell because I shrunk the resolution down, but those are some chunky claws. I'm not going to draw all the fingers because we don't actually need that. We just need to really have like the one. Well, monkeys have really small shoulder blades. I mean, don't really know what I was expecting. I mean, the rib cage is going to be a suggestion for this as well, anyway, because we might want to have it so the rib cage is like a big beefy thing. Probably be helpful if we did the back feet. Right, and we can work from that. It's not good. It's good enough. I am going to change that to actually be a darker colour though. Right, let's see. Let's duplicate the layer and just like get us a couple of extra copies. And then we'll give ourselves something to go over on the top. And the plan now is trying to turn this V. You know what I'm going to do? I am actually going to take away the back arm. Because it just confuses matters when we're trying to do this. Let's start off with like a grey. So the obvious one would be, you know what, I need to do this the other way around, don't I? Yeah, there we go. So we can draw underneath it. So the obvious one is going to be just like a generic monkey body style. That would be the obvious route to take with it. Yeah, it's a simple one. It's always good to get the simple ones out first. Because obviously that's what this entire thing is based on, it's monkey. So, monkey shape. But what else can we do with it? The good thing about this is it doesn't have any kind of scale. So this thing could be absolutely tiny. I've added a tail on it. I didn't add the tail on the actual skeleton, but it obviously does have one. It is a monkey. It does have the long tail. But there's nothing to say it shouldn't have a little short stubby tail. It might not be a tree dweller. A tree dweller. A tree dweller. One of these days I'll learn English. I've only been doing it for a few decades. You know, I was gonna do that on all the other ones as well, because there we go. So it could be that it's a very short stubby tail. Not even really anything there that would actually sort of count as a tail if you looked at it. Just a little like flappy stump bit. Kind of like how technically things like deers have a tail, but it's like a little tiny floppy bit at the end of them because it's like shrunk down. because just didn't need it to be long. But the question is now, what else can we do with it to make it different, to make it interesting? That's the whole point of the exercise. It's not just to like say, well, okay, it's a monkey skeleton. It's a monkey. Could it have been something that was much more? You had more of a sort of a large back, not necessarily muscular, muscles or anything. Maybe it's a large bit of fat deposit on the back. Maybe this thing's something that lives in the desert. Maybe it's like some kind of weird camel type thing. It stores water in its back in fat, which, in case you didn't know, that's how they do it. It's not just fresh water in the hump, it's fat. But you break that fat down, it becomes metabolic water, which means you don't have to drink for a little bit. We make metabolic water when we burn fat. It's not very effective. You're not going to get your 8 glasses a day or whatever bullshit they made up. But you are going to get some water from just like burning fat, burning sugars and everything. You break it down, it turns into carbon dioxide and water. That's like one of the first things you learn at like biology school. By which I mean school in a biology class. Yeah, so what if this thing was a little bit more lumpy? That's going to add some weight to it. It's probably not going to have spindly little legs if it's going to be like that. These legs are going to be a bit chunkier. The bones might not, but the stuff around the bones would be, at the very least. And I mean, really, we're kind of getting close to some kind of like sloth creature here. I mean, maybe the feet are still. They've still got a little point to the toes. Yeah, maybe they still do use their toes to grab onto things. Or maybe they use it for digging. Okay, what else could we do with this thing? What other shapes would work? Would an absolute beast of a thing work for this? Maybe. Obviously, with it being chunky, we're going to want to have the chunky leg situation again. Hmm. How to draw it's in my head. Yeah, I was thinking some kind of like huge scaled thing, but I'm not good at rendering that kind of detail, so maybe I'll just leave it and take that detail back and just stick with body plan, just generic body plan for now. I mean, would it work? Would it? I imagine this sort of thing. I mean, it could be some kind of like with the tweaking. Maybe most of this isn't actually like body tissue; it's fur. If we that down a bit, maybe it's a little. It lives in a very cold, windy place. So it's got a little bit of air. Maybe if that's the case, we'd probably also have to sort of have it much more like that. So it'd have like a little head crest, most probably made of fur. Looks very round. Massive amount of insulation, whether that be fat or fur or both. And this way, if any wind does hit it, it just goes up and over the top. So you can still get around in the windy conditions. And like if the wind is coming from the other side, it's the same. But it's something. Like I say, I've never done these before because I've been so scared of failing them. And quite frankly, you can see why my ideas for this are kind of shit. But they're a start. I mean, apart from Monkey, I mean, Monkey is just a classic monkey shape. I can't take credit for Monkey going from a monkey skeleton, I can't take credit for designing a monkey body. I mean, I could, but that might be going a little bit over the top. What else could we do with this thing? And the original idea of like the actual exercise from the book is the book is meant to be for people going into TV or game design, not just general art. Because I mean, a lot of people have played games. Easy one to think of is Dark Souls. There's what, 3 Asylum demons that are retextured? They all use the same skeleton. They all use the same animation set. It saves time on the animator's part. It saves the modelers having to make 3 different, boss designs. You just have to have some texture artist just go in and change the colour from green skin to red skin, and boom, you have a new creature that's a higher level. This has been a staple in games design for years. And it's also been a staple in people complaining, saying, oh my god, this boss is just another goddamn reskin. But that's what the essence of this thing is if you have got a single skeleton to work from, namely, we've already designed one creature and we have animated a skeleton based on it, can you create any other creatures that would fit the skeleton that we can just use the same information for? The same skeleton, the same animations. Can you build a new skin around it to make it be a new thing without having to put more work on other people to do the rest of the job? That's what this really comes down to. But it does help trying to think of ideas. Because like eventually you can go absolutely crazy. There's nothing stopping you from saying this thing is going to have like massive spikes on its back all the way down. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. Because at the moment it's just a skeleton, you're just adding bits on the outside. I mean, of course, this just turns it into like Sonic the Hedgehog, but on all fours, like a hedgehog. But like maybe it doesn't have much in the way of an abdomen. Let's try that. Maybe it's more like a squirrel type thing. It's already got the toes for gripping. It could easily run up the side of a tree. It's got the spindly legs. It could, like I say, easily be some kind of rodent. And maybe it does have this very spiky, fluffy mane of spikes. And this is what I mean about like ideas. When I started with, Monkey, I wasn't thinking of this. I was thinking just of monkey and like what the hell do I do with a monkey? But the people that are good at this can probably, in the time it's taken me to do these 4 really shitty ones, someone that knows what they're doing could probably knock out like 20 different ideas. in the same time as it's taken me to get these four. Because they've done it so often, they've got an inbuilt library in the head of like different shapes of bodies, different plans, different ideas and roles that creatures might have, and all these things, which I don't have at the moment because, like I say, I have avoided. I've had this book for like 4 years now. I bought it before COVID happened, so I've had it for longer than 4 years at this point. I've read it like 5 times, 6 times. I've never dared try. Well, no, I did try once. I got like two in and gave up because I thought I was doing really badly. So this is already an improvement. I'm four in and think I'm doing really badly. I'm like, oof, top of the world right now. Right, let's give ourselves some more to work with. Right, what else could we do with this thing? Well, we have the skull shape. I really don't want to go messing around with the actual skeleton underneath it because one thing that would be an easy one is extend the neck. Just like have a long necked version. There could be a possibility of it working. Maybe. Bro, what else could we do with this? What else? I mean, there's nothing stopping us from putting like you give it the classic fin, turn it into some kind of aquatic creature. Could work. Could be optional like little fins on the back feet as well. Webbed toes we can't really show at this angle really, but could be a thing they would have. Maybe beef up the back legs. If this thing is aquatic, it's either going to need to be swimming with its legs or walking on the bottom and having enough leg strength to push itself through the water. It also kind of looks like a sentient Cornish pasty, but maybe I'm just hungry. What else could we go for? And honestly, out of all of these, this one here is the one that I figure we probably could actually use for something. I mean, this one just looks like a weird version of that very loud screaming frog. The one that David Attenborough says, "This is the sound of war," and it's just a little frog going, eh, eh. Most people have seen it. You must have seen it. I love it. It's a tiny little, like, inch long frog that's just angry. And quite frankly, I'd be angry as well if I was only an inch long. Let's see, can I at least finish off these ones before my brain dies? Let's see, what else can we do? Hmm. We've got our like classic monkey. We've got our like weird one that could be some kind of digging, like sloth wombat type thing. We've got our like Antarctic wind creature that can like withstand the cold forces of nature. Got a like weird rodent with spiky hair. Underwater creature that looks like a pasty. Hmm. So what else could this thing be? Because I've been thinking like more along the lines of, well, obviously apart from the fishy one, I've been going more mammal. So we've got the fishy version. What else could we make of it? It wouldn't really work as a bird. I think it's a proto bird, maybe some kind of like creature that has feathers but isn't actually capable of flight. Possibly. How would we do that? Would we do the classic bird shape? Oh, that's too dark. That's the detail color. And we could just do a classic budgie of just having a really big belly for some reason, and it's just mostly fluff. Although this then gets a bit close to one of the other ones we've already done, and that's the big issue. Eventually, when you're doing this, especially with me having never done it before, one of the things the book does warn of is that eventually you'll get to a point where you've got through all of your easy ideas and you have to start actually thinking, and that's the hard bit. And we have got through our easy ideas. Fish, squirrel, monkey, chunkies. Yeah, could we turn this thing into some kind of like large toothed predator? Could we turn it into some kind of walrus that, actually, didn't get rid of its shitty legs for even shittier fins? I don't know about that one. It's not sparking joy because it's essentially something we've already done near the top, just slightly thinner with a tusk. It's not really going to help us much. Right, let's get rid of the exaggerated bits. What else can we do? Oh, so we could have like the cat. It would still need an actual tail. Or saying that, we could go with a different type of rodent. Something more beaver like, more rat like. If so, what other adaptations would it have? Yeah, it's got its big teeth to be able to chew through wood. Big claws. Again, that would help, dig up roots and stuff. I think beavers also have some weird poison gland, or that might be platypi. I don't know. They kind of merge together in my head because they have the same tails. And I really can understand looking at the platypus why people thought it was fake for so long. Because there had been so many fakes of like mermaids where people had glued the like half a monkey skeleton to a fish and said, "Look, it's a mermaid." Yeah, if someone turned up and said, look at this wonderful creature that I found," and it's like the front half is some weird wombat looking thing with a bill that looks like it's taken from a duck. It's got a beaver's tail. It's got venomous spines. Apparently, it glows under black light, which we only found out during COVID because, scientists got bored. And so that they found out that they all have all the, some of the fur glows under black light, which is concerning. Because why would it have that? Why would it need that? Nature has not got a black light. Right, so we could do that. Let's see what else. We'd need like would you want like beefier arms to be able to like carry things around or like drag things around maybe? And either way, if it's going to be dragging heavy things, it's probably going to need slightly beefier back legs. I mean, it is a bit depressing how much it looks like the first two we did. Maybe it does have a bit longer of a tail to help it when it's in water. If it is like aquatic, well, semi-aquatic. Hmm. What other? See, the problem is I could open the book and have a look to see what sort of things it's done, but that kind of feels a little bit cheaty. Because I can look at it and go, "Oh yeah, that's a cool idea," and then just like draw it and screen and pretend it's mine. And I don't want to. I don't want that sort of thing to creep into my brain. I don't want to be influenced by other things at the moment. I'm trying to make my brain do things without messing with the actual skeleton itself. Because, like I say, we could extend the legs. We could make the legs longer. We could make the neck longer. And quite frankly, when I run out of ideas, I mean, I probably will carry on trying this off stream, just to try and get like more ideas and get better at it. But eventually, when I've run out, I probably will start messing around with the actual skeleton. Yeah, we could have some kind of weird, like, I mean, things like a llama. It's essentially, when you think about it, it's kind of like a sheep with a long neck. And I know there's someone who might or might not be watching right now who would scream at me for likening his kind with a llama. I'm sorry. It's just a descriptor. Oh, and we're on an ad break, so I'll sit back for a bit and not talk quite so much. And try and think of some things while we're going. Maybe keep going for another like 15, 20 minutes, see how I go. I wasn't thinking of this being a very long stream today. You know, unfortunately, very low energy lately. Well, for most of this year so far, really. Hence, I haven't streamed anywhere near as much as I did this time last year. Although, granted, this time last year it was kind of still new to me, so I was still like overdoing it. I was trying to like stream almost every day, which left me with no time for things of my own. I would finish work, regain my energy, and then start streaming, which is great, but didn't leave me any downtime. Hmm. What else have we got we could do? Hmm. Honestly, I'm stumped. It's taken me an hour to run out of ideas, and my ideas haven't even been that good. So I definitely need to like redo this and just keep on redoing it over and over again until I get good. So this might be the kind of thing that I like stream every couple of weeks or so. Maybe try and do some of it off stream, get ideas out, try and get better at thinking of things. And then, like, every couple of weeks, we give it another try and see, like, pick a new skeleton. Yeah, next time we'll, like, try, like, a rhinoceros skeleton or something and see what we can make from that. And it also, this comes back to what I was saying earlier near the start about picking a skeleton that you can, that's kind of generic, because it gives you more options to go with. With the nature of how the back legs are on this, it kind of limits some things. Like, you're not going to have like a massive elephant type thing that's going to have bent legs like this, because that's just going to be way too much stress on the joints. I mean, you could try and get away with it, maybe, and say sci-fi shit. It's low gravity or something, and therefore it can do it, even though it's massive. It's low gravity, but which means that its legs can bend and it's perfectly fine. But I'm not doing sci-fi. I'm trying to do relatively realistic, quote unquote realistic. We haven't got into the mana stuff yet with Rise of Embers. We have plans. We just haven't got around to that sort of ecology yet. But yeah, I really am stumped as to what are the kind of body plans we can go with for this shape. At least with my current skill level. Maybe I just need to go and look at more animal pictures and memorize more sort of like body plans and try and mix and match stuff. Again, something I can try off stream. Maybe do it during my lunch breaks for work. Give me something to do that's not just gaming. Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. But yeah, my brain is pretty much dead at this point. I can't think of anything else we can use for this. So I probably will call this one a bit early and call it a test. And then we'll try again at another point. And hopefully next time we'll do better. I'll go and gather myself a bunch of skeletal reference imagery. And we can try doing one that's a bit more generic. Get a bit more, a few more ideas out of it. Yeah, sounds like a plan. Right, in that case, let's raid out to someone. Who can we go to? You know what? Chubb's still online. Normally I'm going for another hour at this point, but I started early. So she still seems to be on. So let's just go and raid Chubb. Oh, unable to raid Chubb. Is that... Does Chubb have raids turned off? Wow. Chubb has raids turned off, it seems. Unable to raid Chubbulus at this time. But I know that Chubb had a raid earlier, so I know that people can raid her. I wonder if it's just Twitch being Twitch. Twitch does do that sometimes. Maybe the system do be broken. Or maybe she is actually offline and it just hasn't updated yet. It's mildly annoying. I wanted to raid the Chubbs. Yeah, Chubb is streaming. Oh, it's actually letting me raid now. I clicked on the play button on their channel preview and it worked suddenly. But yeah, let's raid Chubb. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been a tough one. It's been something I'm not used to trying. But it's something to work on. It's a future project that we want to get work done on. So getting these sort of practices in will help. But until next time, probably hopefully next time we'll just play some games because, de stress and chill a bit. But yeah, until then, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.